Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this is the You Talking to Me podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about the movie The Prom, which was originally a Broadway musical and now has come to us on the big screen, or more so the little screen, because I watched it on my laptop.
On Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Yes, and it is like 2.5 hours long, stars a lot of big names. I was shocked, honestly. Like, I knew it was a movie, and that, like, after coming off of Broadway, but I never really looked into it before we watched it. And there's, like, Meryl Streep, we've got Nicole Kidman, James Corden, this guy from another Netflix original, Alexa and Katie, who plays one of the boyfriends in the show. He plays one of the mean boyfriends. Oh, Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah, what's he in? Where have I seen him?
Key and Peele. He was a big sketch comedy guy with Jordan Peele.
I didn't know that this was actually on Broadway first.
Yeah, it was right before the pandemic. It was at the Tonys. That was pre-pandemic times, the one right before. And I knew the song where they go shopping in the mall. I knew that one before, but that's the only one that I had ever heard before this, so.
Okay, the recap for this movie, and it is, if you didn't catch the drift already, it is a musical style movie, so there's lots of music and singing in it. It's about, well, it starts with these two actors who are in a musical called Roosevelt or something?
Eleanor.
See?
It's not a huge part of the movie, it's just to set the stage for these two characters.
Right, and they were getting bad reviews on their shows. They wanted to find a way to get good publicity for their show.
Well, and for themselves, because they were actually getting personally attacked more so than the show being bad. It was these narcissists don't care about anything but themselves, blah, blah, blah.
Right. And so they were trying to find a way to make themselves look better, along with someone who is in the chorus line, or not the chorus line. She is a member of an ensemble, usually in productions, and then a guy who is currently bartending but also trying to make it as an actor. They decide that they are going to go to Indiana to help this girl who invited a girl to prom, but the PTA in the school is just not having it. So they go to Indiana, and it's this whole journey of trying to help her get the girl in the prom, basically. And she has been in a relationship with a girl for a year and a half, but it's been secret because the girl's mom is just not supportive. She is actually the head parent on this PTA trying to get the prom removed because of one gay person. And then they have this fake prom set up for Emma, and they moved the real prom to this other location so that Emma can still technically have a prom, just no one is there, which is so mean. Then her girlfriend doesn't show up to come support her because, well, she's with her mom and she's terrified. And then they keep going on this other journey, and the actors help Emma put together a prom for anyone from anywhere. They can all come to this prom, and then there's a happy ending.
No, it was a pretty interesting movie. I didn't know where it was going to be going. So, as we were going, obviously I knew there was going to be a prom at the end and that it was going to be successful by the end of it, but I was shocked when we got to the midpoint and the prom was already happening. I was wait a minute. And it didn't feel like it was 2.5 hours long, which is always good.
I would have the opposite answer to that. I felt like it was an 8-hour long movie.
It did feel like there's a lot of stuff that maybe didn't need to be in it, but I think the songs broke it up for me and gave me something else to focus on rather than just the story. Yes, the songs added to the story, but I think it broke it up enough to where I was oh yeah, this is something new to focus on. This is something new to think about, and my brain didn't realize that it was all the same thing in a row.
Well, speaking of songs, what did you think of the music? Overall, were there songs you liked, didn't like?
Okay, so I wrote down all the songs as they came. up and then kind of ranked them on a 5-star ranking scale. And I'm not gonna lie, most of the songs I gave like a 2 or a 3, and the 3 was kind of generous because I guess I didn't realize that all the songs were kind of gonna sound the same. I don't know if that was just me, but I really only remember like 2 songs.
I personally didn't like any of the songs until Barry sang that song about going to prom when he was a kid. And then I liked a song called This Unruly Heart of Mine or something like that. And then there was one other, oh, the Sin song, like the one at the mall when they.
Oh, the Love Thy Neighbor one?
Yeah, Love Thy Neighbor.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, that was literally one of my least favorite songs in the whole one. Well, okay, there were 2 that I liked way worse than that one, but
Okay.
that one was like one of my least favorite because I didn't think it was extremely original.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, there's this episode of The West Wing where they're kind of like, there's some gay issue, and I don't remember if it's like people at school, people at work, or what the problem like is with the gay people in this show, but obviously somebody had a problem with them. And the president like has this whole speech, and it actually is like super empowering, and he does go through things in the Bible and is kind of like not trashing this woman, but like, you know, proving to her that like she's sinning by not following these things of the Bible and whatnot. And then at the end, she's the only one sitting and everyone else was standing. And she's like, also, when I enter the room, most people stand up to show respect. Like there's like this big like boom mic drop at the end type of thing. And I feel like they kind of like wrote this song just like really quickly. I don't know, that's the way it sounded. They could have, if you're gonna go with the Bible thing, which is a very big aspect of it in rural states and stuff, and why a lot of people don't like gay people is they try to use the Bible as their reasoning for it, is I think they could have delved deeper instead of like the very surface level stuff like you have a tattoo. And like the virginity one was kind of funny because she was like, oh my god, he knows or whatever. But that was, I think, my main problem with it, is that if they just took like a little bit longer to like really delve into some other biblical references that a lot of people break, then it could have been, I think, a little more punchy.
Right. And I guess I wasn't looking at the song so much for the lyrics as I was, that was like the first song where I was like, oh yeah, this is like a good upbeat sort of thing. It would catch my interest, and like is a big musical number. And so that was actually like engaging for me. Whereas most of the other songs, I was like, okay, this can end now.
Well, the Love Thy Neighbor one is like the 4th from the last song. Like
Yeah,
it's so close to the end, because it's kind of when the younger guy who is the bartender, he's trying to connect with the high school kids. He's probably like in his 30s, but he like thinks he's way younger than he is. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I still, you know, can connect with the cool kids. So he goes to the mall where they're hanging out and is like trying to convince them that, you know, love thy neighbor is the greatest rule in the Bible that you should follow. So if you don't follow all of them, at least follow this one, which is a good message. I do like that part of it a lot.
There's the 4 kids who are like the popular kids that are being mean to Emma. They thought that being gay was wrong, but then he kind of comes and sings this song and they change their mind and they're like, oh, never mind.
I really liked the song It's Not About Me because I thought it was really funny. So it's when Meryl Streep, Dee Dee Allen ambush the PTA meeting, and she's like,
oh yeah,
it's not about me, and like it's just so dramatic, and it's like, yeah, we love Emma, and points to the wrong girl, or like, you know, does all these like wrong things because she's not paying that much attention to like what's going on, because she's very selfish and like really just is there as a publicity stunt, like we said earlier. But I thought it was funny, so it was one of my like top 5 probably favorite songs. I did like You Happened, the promposal song. I thought it was, real quick, stupid that promposal day was like the day before prom. Like, I don't think the people that wrote this musical ever went to high school is like one of my biggest critiques on the writing, but we'll get to that later. And then Tonight Belongs to You, I really liked, which I think is the one where Barry takes her to the mall to like go shopping. I really think that's the one. But I thought that one was really fun. And It's Time to Dance at the end. and I agree with you, Unruly Heart was really good. But those were like, but a lot of the songs, like I said, really did kind of sound the same. All the upbeat songs sounded the same, and all of the slow songs sounded the same, and they all had the same exact, I swear, like, there's this weird, like, tinny type of feel to the songs that I was like, they just moved the chords around a little bit, I think.
Right. And I definitely had a problem with the first song. Like, the very first thing I wrote down is kind of offensive song towards Indiana people. I didn't like that.
Yeah, it was, it's, again, I mean, people who wrote this probably have lived in, like, New York their whole lives and was like, Broadway is the way.
You're marrying your cousin or, like, loving your cousin, and I can't remember, but they said, like, you can't be gay in Indiana, and obviously I'm sure, just like with anywhere, there's going to be people who really, truly fit the stereotypes, okay? But I have to believe that as a whole, it's not like that. I have a friend who went to school there, and, you know, she was just fine. She has a girlfriend, and she never said that anything was bad there. Like, I don't know for sure if she ever experienced any bad times, but I mean, I don't know.
We're from North Dakota, and I know, at least like in Grand Forks, we're a lot more liberal than a lot of the state. I mean, I would say that we're one of the few states that does elect sometimes liberal representatives to our districts. But I would say that there wasn't a whole lot of bullying, at least in public, on it, you know, or like leaving things in people's lockers or like trying to stop prom or anything. I know it wasn't technically like you couldn't walk down Grand March for a while with somebody of the same sex, but I don't know, they changed it a while ago and they didn't like try and stop prom or anything. You could still go with a girl or go with a boy, but they didn't like stop it.
My the year after I graduated, so there were two guys that were a grade below me, and I think they were the first at our school that walked hand in hand through Grand March as a gay couple, and I do think that they got some backlash for doing so.
Really? That sounds like so shocking. Was it from the students or from the parents or from the board?
I think it was it depended. Like, I think it was like the sports boys, but then also one of them was like really good friends with a lot of the sports guys, and then maybe some parents. I don't know. I can't remember it exactly. I just remember that it was like really a big deal, and obviously like power to them for doing it and walking through, but I feel like people were booing. I could be wrong.
I would cry, just saying. Like, for real, I would cry and it wasn't even me.
I don't know if anyone's walked as a same-sex or non-binary or whatever type of couple type thing happening since then, but I just know that was like a big moment at our school.
I know for a while they would announce it like my sister went with a girl that she wasn't dating. My sister is straight, but she went with a girl and they walked through Grand March, mostly because like that's the fun part of prom, is to show off your dress to everybody. And instead, so like if I went, they would be like, Rachel Cox escorted by insert male name here, you know what I mean, like whoever it was. But with Emily and her friend, it was like Emily Cox and female friend, like whatever her name was, you know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't say escorted by or anything.
Well, maybe they wanted it to be that way because did Emily say, like, she didn't want to be said that she was escorted by her?
No, I don't know, because there were same-sex couples that went that year, I know for sure, and I was literally one of the first few people that went through because I, like, didn't want to wait that long in line. So I did get to hear, like, some of the people, and even ones that were dating, they would just say, like, with this person, even though on the card it said blank escorted by blank, like on all the cards it said that. So it's very weird. I don't know, hopefully they fixed things.
It's like, come on, people, we have more problems than that.
Two of my least favorite songs were The Ladies Improving, which was the one that Dee Dee Allen sang to Keegan-Michael Key, their love interest in the movie. And Keegan-Michael Key is the principal who is full-on support of Emma, like the only person it seems like that is trying to fight for her and make sure this prom goes well and everything. The principal finds out that Dee Dee Allen was only doing this as a publicity stunt, and she's trying to win him back. She really likes him, and James Corden is like, he likes you too. You just like need to show him who you are or whatever, right? So she was in this musical called like Swallow the Moon or something. That was like the first musical he's ever seen, and the first one with her in it. And she sang this song called The Lady's Improving, and it just like literally changed his whole life, apparently, the way she performed it. And so to try and win him back, when she goes and visits him in the principal's office, she sings the song to him. I hated it so much. It was, one, like I said, like all the other songs. It didn't sound like it was from a different musical. It should have, since it was technically from a different musical. Right. Again, I don't think it's a real, I'm gonna Google it real quick because I don't think this is a real musical. But if it is, why was that the one that changed his life? Because it was not good.
No. Yeah, the song was very interesting, and she just like out of nowhere starts belting out this song, and there's obviously music in the background, and clearly there's no way that she was starting to play music. So I mean, I get that it's a musical and things are dramatized, but
how funny would it have been though to like if they had cut to Keegan-Michael Key's perspective and it's just her like belting a cappella? That would have been hilarious. That would have made it more interesting for me. But yeah, it's not a real musical. I just Googled it. And so I really think they should have just freaking bought the rights to one song from a musical and sang it, because that would have been much better. And also, he literally does like change his mind. He's like, oh yeah, I'm in love with you again. You're fine. I forgive you. I'm back to being a big old fan. And I'm like, no, there's like no, we'll get into this again in the writing section, but there is like no anger between people that lasts more than like 5 seconds where they just forgive everybody.
Yes, they literally all have like the brains of a goldfish, and they forget that there was an issue 5 seconds ago. So
it's like the most frustrating part of it, because I literally went into this movie. I was like, it's about gay people going to prom and musicals, which I love both. But I will say I was pretty disappointed for the overall looking at it. Like, I watched it last night. I'm looking back at it almost 24 hours later.
Is this the time when we say what we thought overall of the movie? That was your overall opinion?
Yeah, that was my overall opinion, is looking back at it now that I've slept on it, literally. And now that we're kind of talking about the songs and some of the issues in it, I will say I am sorely disappointed, because I feel like they had so much time to finally bring a musical like this to Broadway. This isn't something that you normally see. It's a lot more contemporary. It's about very real issues that are happening every day. And it was just like, you had the stage, literally you had the stage to bring this issue. I think you've missed the mark, people. But the end was very good, and I still teared up anyway. I'm not going to spoil it quite yet exactly.
So I told Rachel that I was very excited for her to watch it, just because I wanted to see her opinion on it. And this is coming from a gay person who loves gay things, and I didn't like it. The ending, I liked the ending. Overall, I would not watch it again. I would not.
I was really kind of hoping that you would say that, because I was like, I don't want to be like feeling stupid that I didn't like it that much.
And I was like, well, I want to see Rachel's opinion. I was like, am I just being picky? And are we to the writing section yet, or do you still have another song you want to?
You know what? The only other song that I wanted to trash was We Look to You, which was Keegan-Michael Key's song to Dee Dee Allen. Obviously, I like them as a couple. They were fine, and like they were very cute when they weren't singing about things. But that song was stupid. That's all I've got to say. Just look up the song and you'll understand why it sucks.
Yeah. I don't even remember the song because it just wasn't good.
It was like the precursor to the Lady's Improving, where it was like way before it in the musical, but they were at Applebee's. And he was like, we look to you. Yeah. You're like the most perfect person, and you like inspired me, and you inspired lots of people. I don't know any of the words, just that we look to you. I literally had to Google all the song titles in order so that I like knew when they were coming.
Yeah, it was not good. But then what was I going to say for the writing section? Oh, to me, this felt like they took a very white, straight female and decided, how can we make her stereotypically gay? They even like drop a hint of that by saying, like, she drives a pickup truck and James Corden's character Barry goes, oh, don't tell me you drive a pickup. And she's like, why? Because I'm a lesbian? And he's like, well, yeah. And then she does drive a pickup. And like, I get it. There are stereotypes for a reason. These are real, true stereotypes for some people. She, to me, felt like she was very, very straight. And they were trying to make her fit into this gay mold. And they just gave her all the stereotypes of a lesbian.
The very first, not the very first outfit, because I don't remember what she was wearing in like the little teaser where they're like, no prom, you know what I mean? I don't remember what she was wearing there. But in her first song, Just Breathe, where it was actually like really funny at the beginning, it says, note to self, don't be gay in Indiana. Like, I thought that was very funny. But she's wearing like a beanie and like high-waisted boyfriend jeans and like a cardigan, that like no shapely clothes, you know, to make her look androgynous or more masculine than most women.
And the shoes.
Oh yeah, like Doc Martens or something. Like, it was a very cute outfit. Like, I did like it, but it was like, what do lesbians wear?
Yeah.
Like, they Googled it real quick, lesbian outfit, and she, like, wanted to wear a vintage tux to prom, and, like, all these, like, boy stereotype things, and I was like, okay. Like, it's absolutely, there are people like this, but if you are trying to, like, I don't know, make a movie or a musical that's like more modern, and like it literally came out in what, 2020, 2019, something like that. Very recently, the actual musical, and then the movie came out in 2020. They had literally just go to a high school and try and pick out the lesbian. You can't, because they just look like everybody else.
Well, and then the one that her girlfriend, she actually is not dressed like a stereotype, and she's, wow, not a white person, so props to that. She is, I would say, more feminine, girly, which, so I like that they had that aspect too, but I just felt like for the main person, and maybe the people who are in the gay community that are more like, they relate more to the stereotypes, they dress like that or something, maybe they felt like that was a good way to put it, but it, to me, felt like they were almost making a joke.
I was definitely, like, pulled out of it for a second when I saw her for the first time. And I did like the pickup truck joke, like, and they made it like it was a joke. It was supposed to be like a punchline for just that little moment, and it was cute. But if it was like the only joke or stereotype they followed, I think we would have probably liked it a lot better. Also, I do think so Emma is the main girl that looks like a lesbian. And then
hard to miss.
And then Alyssa is her secret girlfriend, and I think the reason honestly, if she was probably out, they probably would have made her dress like that too, I'm not even gonna lie, because she is secretly gay. Like we said, she's been hiding it from her mom, because her mom's very strict, very anti, not normal, in quotations, and stuff like that. So I do also feel like she's like maybe just dressing like this to appease her mom, or like that's why they had her dressing like this. So I mean, like I said, the wardrobe is not the writing people's fault, but the director, like, literally was right there. Could have been like, no, put her in, like, skinny jeans and a t-shirt, or, like, a pink shirt. She's allowed to like pink. I know she's gay, but chill.
Right, because there's, like, a whole spectrum. And like I said, maybe it's just because, in my opinion, I fall into the category of, like, more feminine, and I do dress androgynous sort of sometimes, but to me, it just literally felt like she felt like the straightest person ever playing a gay person.
I don't know if she is gay or not.
James Corden's not gay, and he was playing a gay guy.
That's true. I honestly, though, I was like, wait a minute, but is he gay?
Well, the first time I ever saw him on TV, I was like, oh, I just assumed he was gay, and I don't know, like, I'm not saying straight people can't play gay people, because gay people can play straight people.
Yeah.
It just felt like Alyssa, to me, didn't feel like she was a fake person in this, but Emma, the main character, felt like the most fake that I could see in a movie. Like, I don't know. To me, it was just something about her.
I also think that part of the, like, falseness of this could just come from, it's a musical adapted to a show, and they kept pretty much a lot of the same stuff. And I think she also plays the Broadway person. I think it's the same actress. And so, like, she's smiling, like, all the time, and, like, has this perfect, like, hello everybody, like my smile is bigger than literally any smile I've ever seen. And so I think it's just like a little bit of overacting too adds to the like, I can't believe this at all. So I will look past some of the overacting stuff for sure in this, because it's not their fault. It's a musical that's a or a movie now. So
Right. But I will say, even when she was like crying, she was smiling. She
yeah.
was like being sad and she had the biggest smile on her face. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I don't believe you.
Going outside of just criticizing their representation a little bit was the very beginning. So these Broadway actors and actresses, like we said, are like, we need a reason to like have better publicity and like prove to them we're not just narcissistic, even though like the reason they're doing it is a narcissistic reason, which I thought was funny. That's a great flaw. But I didn't think there was enough active action to get them to Indiana. They were like, what can we do? Nicole Kidman quickly Googles like what's trending on Twitter, quickly finds the person's like, let's go to Indiana. And then they're like, perfect. You know, it was like all very passive and I know that's not the main part of the story is getting them to Indiana, but that should be just as strong as the like problems in Indiana itself. You know, it was like, this felt to me like a slightly better version of something a student could write. You know, like they just got lucky with being bought and put on Broadway. Like it shouldn't be the epitome of like how people write musicals or plays or TV shows and stuff like that. But it just felt very, well, we need to get them there. How can we do it as quickly as possible?
Right. And I guess maybe if we look at it more from a musical standpoint, like that makes more sense. If you think about musicals and like how things just happen, they don't always need an explanation. So maybe it's the fact that it is a musical movie, and if you look at it more strictly from the musical aspect, it's like, oh, this makes more sense. But then if you look at it from a movie aspect, it's like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I don't even know, because a lot of, like in Dear Evan Hansen, for example, he just keeps getting further and further into the lie of being the best friend of the guy who killed himself, basically because they use his anxiety and his like not being able to like stand up for himself as his flaw at the beginning, and then he changes by the end. But like it's because he just keeps agreeing to it and never once is like, no, I wrote that letter to myself and he stole it because I said that I loved his sister in it. You know what I mean? Like I think that one is so much stronger in terms of like how he gets to the midpoint of like literally being the voice of a nation. You know what I mean? And that one came out just a couple of years ago, so I think they had a very good template for what they could have been doing. And it just didn't feel like the midpoint of the film and this musical is wonderful. The fake prom, her showing up and the prom is somewhere else, and the principal finding out that this was all a publicity stunt, like that's a great midpoint. I really felt it. I was heartbroken for them both, honestly, because they both found out that what they thought was going to be real wasn't. So I really loved the midpoint. But I do think some of the other like major steps were rushed, or they just fell into the situation and stuff like that.
So do you have anything else to say about the writing style? Like, do you think that there were things that were written strongly or anything? Or was everything just kind of mediocre? Because I honestly can say that I don't have much more of an opinion on the writing as much as my acting view is coming out.
Okay, so real quick, I think I have just a couple of little things. Tell me if I'm wrong, so there are three main gay characters. I know the TV show guy, the bartender guy, I'm guessing is also gay in the show.
He was giving me very strong gay vibes, and when there was one scene when Dee Dee was going with the principal to Apples and Bees, she called it. The other three of them, so I don't know who he is, their manager, producer,
oh yeah,
publicist, someone, and the person that I can't even think of her real name.
Nicole Kidman?
Yeah, Nicole Kidman, whoever she's playing, and then that guy who's the bartender, I think is the three of them. We're going off and one of them says something about, are there gay bars? So I'm pretty sure it's him, and I'm pretty sure he's gay. If he's not gay, I was surprised, but he
Yeah.
seems gay.
So besides him, we have James Corden, Emma, and Alyssa are the three gay characters that are pretty developed in the show. But I felt like they all had almost the same storyline slash backstory, where they all have unaccepting parents. Two of them were kicked out slash left because they felt they were going to be kicked out if they didn't
At the
change
same
themselves.
age.
Yeah. And then Alyssa knows that her mom doesn't really support it. And if she had come out before this big publicity stunt, she probably would have been like kicked out or forced to change. So I was like, you're trying really hard, but not hard enough. Because there are families that are unapologetically accepting, almost so much that it's like embarrassing how much they're accepting, you know what I mean? Where they're like, you're gay? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna paint your room rainbow, I'm gonna bake a cake, we're gonna have a party for your coming out. Like, they're just like goofy and just want to make sure their kid knows they're loved. And there's parents that are like, okay, cool, but like, I told you to wash the dishes. I just wanted one person, and maybe it was the bartender because we never got any of his backstory, but yeah. I just wanted someone and at the end, spoiler, Alyssa's mom does support her because she's like, I've loved you since the day where you were born, so I'm gonna still love you now. We still have to talk about it and kind of like, whatever, you know, let me figure it out, come to terms with it, whatever she wanted to do in that moment. But it was like, give me something different.
And I guess with that, there is Barry's mom. Mm-hmm. Barry he left, I guess, technically before he was kicked out.
But they were going to send him to therapy, so he knew that he wasn't accepted there.
Correct. And so he hasn't seen his parents in a good long while, because it was when he was 16, and now he's probably, what?
40s. Yeah, it's been like 20-something years since.
And so he decides that, or his friend actually calls his mom, who's Dee Dee. She calls his mom, and his mom meets him at this school in Indiana, which she's from Ohio, and I don't know. It's just weird how that was set up too, sort of. But
she had to be from the Midwest so that she couldn't accept her kid, because if they were from New York, she would have been all up in his great job, I'm glad you're gay. There are families in New York that are not supportive. It didn't have to be from a rural town in a rural state.
So Barry's mom shows up, and she, I guess this would say, sort of corrects that, because she was saying that she's accepting, she loves him exactly how she is, but she also states that his father is still not at a place where he's ready to accept it yet. So I like that standpoint, where like the mom's coming around and like, yes, I love you and I don't care that you're gay, and the dad is still having an issue. Not saying I like that the parents have a split view, or that it's always a mom's accepting or dad, or a non-binary person is accepting or not. Like, I just, except for, no offense to straights, but I feel, or people with genders, I feel like a non-binary person is going to be more accepting.
I agree.
But so that development in the storyline, I felt sort of took a little bit of my annoyance out of the fact that they all had like the exact same story. Mm-hmm. But I agree with that.
All I'm saying is I'd divorce that man immediately.
Yeah, please so.
Also, that Emma's grandma takes her in, which I think is so sweet. Like, I love a good supportive grandma. I don't know why that, like, touches my heart even more, is when like, an old person is accepting, because then you're almost like, well, you can't even, like, blame the way you were raised, because this person who's way older than you and raised you is supportive. So, like, what the frick?
Yeah, I agree with that, too.
My other thing is the whole, like, the resolution of problems, like we kind of talked about earlier. So when they're actually planning the new prom at the end of the movie, that's the accepting prom, the inclusive prom for everybody, where people from out of state even show up, and there's a lot of LGBT plus couples there and friends and stuff. Right while they're decorating it, the popular girls who have, and the guys too, who had just been, you know, transformed by the bartender guy with the Love Thy Neighbor song, show up, and they're like, we're so sorry. And she's like, Emma's just like, oh my gosh, I thought you hated me. And And the one guy's like, they did, but now they forgive you, pretty much. And then they like hug and they're fine. And I was like, no, they literally ruined your life at the beginning. They like forced your girlfriend to not find out about a fake prom so that she couldn't show up with you and that you wouldn't know about the new prom. Like, they were very mean. They were terrible people. Please just be angry for like 5 minutes. The only person that was a little upset at someone who had hurt them was Barry, James Corden, and his mom. And he was at first like, no, you cannot just walk in here and think everything's better because you, for the last like 20 something years, have like not even reached out to me. Like, you obviously don't care. I did like that for a hot second. He was upset, and then he's like, I miss you too, Mom, which is, you're gonna miss your mom if you haven't seen her since you were like 16, so I understand.
Right. Once again, it's that goldfish brain where they just forget. And I'm the type of person where, and maybe it's just our personalities, because I don't know if in real life, if you're the type where if someone crosses you, that's it, that's done, I don't care. Is people can give warnings from me, but like if you do something to actually cross me and you go against, like, I don't care who you are, how you're related to me, bye. I don't care.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot for me to really hate you, but I feel like if you were conspiring against me for the person I loved and someone you obviously like too, you know what I mean? Like, she's your friend, and I used to be your friend, like in this situation, I would just be like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be your friend anymore, because you just need to like, maybe you need to go to therapy and figure out yourself, and then maybe we can hang out again in the future if I know you've changed. But I don't need negativity in my life like that. I need accepting people who are nice. Also, if you cross my sister, I probably won't like you very much either, because my sister's the most giving and kind person, and even when you're a terrible person to her, she will still be nice to you, and it takes a lot for her to hate you. So if she hates you, I probably hate you too, because it takes a lot.
So Emily, please never hate me.
Well, I think this is a good time to answer our question from last week. All right, and that question was from Jerry, and here it is again for those who have forgotten.
I'd like to know your thoughts on movies with musical groups.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. That's a good question. The first movie that came to my mind is Pitch Perfect, specifically the second movie where at the end they're at this like competition and musical groups are in there. Pentatonics is in there. What movies do you know of that have musical groups? Because maybe I'm just blanking.
Well, there's obviously all of those like kind of documentary concert videos and movies with like Taylor Swift. There's a Shawn Mendes one. The ones I know of are the ones with One Direction. No shame here. But the This Is Us One Direction movie I thought was very fun. I like those types of musical group movies because if you are a fan of a group or a singer or something, watching like their behind the stage, how they get ready for a concert, watching some of the concert itself is always amazing because you love their songs. I don't know. Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, I've seen documentaries. I didn't know that we were including that in the category. I've seen one for Pentatonics, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift. There was some sort of thing for Demi Lovato, but that might have been a little bit different. I like finding out more about artists and stuff. Well, you just don't know what's going on in a famous person's mind or head or like what their life is. You might think that you do, but you just don't. And so even if you're watching that, you're finding out more of their life, but you're still not finding out everything. If we're talking about like a movie that has, let's just say to like a movie about a musical group, you know, like Bohemian Rhapsody, for example. Love that movie. Love it, love it, love it. Because I love music. Have you seen, listen, Tomorrowland or
I saw
whatever
yesterday.
The Elton John one is?
No, I didn't see that
Is
one.
that the one?
No, that one was...
Yesterday, The Beatles?
Yesterday's about the Beatles. It's about if like the Beatles never existed, which was super cool. A movie that I know my dad is thinking of and that I have seen. I don't remember a lot of it, but I think it's called A Hard Day's Night, and it's about the Beatles and starring the Beatles. And I don't remember. I'm so sorry, Dad. Disown me if you need to. I totally understand. But it's like, I don't even know if it's the story of the Beatles, but it like is documentary style where it like follows them around, but I think there's a plot. I don't know. Maybe we'll watch it if it's available somewhere, and maybe we'll do musical groups and like documentaries and stuff for y'all for one of these. Comment below if that's something you want to see us do.
I'd be down. I love music and I love the Beatles. If we can watch something on the Beatles, I'd be definitely down.
My dad is literally the hugest Beatles fan. So fun fact about my family is that, sorry, Jerry is my dad. That's the person who asked the question, if that was confusing. Anyway, my dad, like I said, hugest Beatle fan ever. My mom has allocated the downstairs bathroom to be his man cave or whatever, where he can do whatever he wants to that bathroom, paint it, hang up whatever he wants, whatever. There are so many Beatles memorabilia things, like albums, whatever, just like hanging on the walls in there. It's like his own personal Beatles museum.
Amazing. What did you think of acting? I want to know your opinion first.
Like I said earlier, Emma's character was very smiley the whole time and Broadway-y. I am a little hot take, a little bored of Meryl Streep. I don't know what she was going for, I guess. I don't know. Don't hate me. I liked Alyssa. I did like Alyssa. I thought she did a good job. I don't know if she's the lady who plays her on Broadway or not. Usually all of the people that aren't the main person are just like random other actors that weren't in the original cast, because I don't think any of these people were in the original cast. I know for sure James Corden wasn't when I watched the Tony production. Kerry Washington, we forgot to mention Kerry Washington at the beginning. She's the mom of Alyssa and like the head of the PTA. She's like one of my favorite actresses. I love her. And it's so funny because in Little Fires Everywhere, she's like gay in it, which is very funny that she's like, gays suck, in this one. I really did like her performance, but I also just love her, so that could be bias, but I don't really care. So, but overall, the acting was fine in it. It felt like Broadway trying to be TV, with the overacting stuff. But what do you think, Hannah? Hannah, the professional here.
Oh, yes, my professional. Well, I thought that we were going to have much more split views on this whole movie, so I'm glad that we don't.
Yeah.
I wrote down the acting sucks.
Big
I said, except Barry's mom. I thought she was so cute.
Yes.
Okay.
I did not expect her to look like that for some reason.
I would agree with Kerry Washington's. Like, I didn't like her character, but I thought that she was acting very well. And everyone else, I just felt like, I don't know.
They're like they're unmemorable, in these roles, which this should have been the biggest thing of the year, you know what I mean? Like, no, gay movies or gay musicals don't have to be the like big talking thing of the year or anything, but there aren't apparently a lot of them that are like mainstream and stuff, especially not made into movies like the year they debuted pretty much. So this was like a big deal, and I do think part of it was because of COVID, maybe? I don't even know actually why they made it into a film, but I think they just wanted to reach more audiences so that people in Indiana can see it and not have to travel to New York City to watch it on Broadway and stuff. So I think it was to get a greater audience. It's on Netflix, which you don't have to pay separately for each movie you watch. And they just like dropped the ball because there were a lot of unmemorable parts. Like I said, unmemorable songs. I don't even know the tune of most of them, and they all had the same tune. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was just crazy. And yeah, the actors, like the parts that were not the main characters were just like, Nicole Kidman I thought was very good actually.
Yeah, she did good. I didn't like Meryl Streep though either, and that's probably going to get us backlash from some people. We're not saying we don't like her as a person or other acting roles that she did. This particular one to me felt almost like, and hear me out, do you agree with this? I felt like she was trying to be like Kris Jenner.
I don't think about that at all.
Can you see it? Or was that just like...
I think it's definitely the hair and like being an older woman who really cares about her appearance, which is like her character in this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that from my very limited view of who Kris Jenner is. And I think, I mean, she's been in musical productions before where she's played very different characters, like Mamma Mia. Like, she was very fun in that, and just, like, springy and jumping all over the place. And yes, her character isn't young and jumping all over the place in this movie, but I just think she could have brought a life to it that she didn't. And I think the character was a very fun character to have in it, where, you know, you just care about yourself and you are a washed up Broadway person. I love the scene where she, like, pulls out her 2 Tonys and is like, now do you have a suite? Like, it's so funny.
And then James Corden pulls out his, like, random other award.
His, like, high school most improved award or whatever the heck it was. It's probably some big award we don't know about, but it's not a Tony.
It's the shape of an apple, if you know what that is.
Someone tell us what it means, because I just don't want to Google it. So I liked some of the quirks that her character had and, like, the flaws of it. I just don't think it was well done.
And it's so funny too, because 2 people, one person whom I work for, she said it was so great and loved it, and she was talking on the phone with her dad about it, and her dad is super liberal and said he loved it too. And her stepsister was on the phone and she said it was good also. And then one of my best friends, Anissa, hey girl, if you're listening, she said, oh my gosh, it's so good, or like she loved it and told me to watch it. And so I was like so excited. And then I'm like, ooh, yeah.
I think a lot of people are going into it without, like, I'm going to critique what's, like, not accurate about it. So I think that's a big aspect. And I'm not generalizing these people that you know or anything, but a lot of people I do think, especially straight people, apparently I've just grown from normal straight people. No, I'm just kidding. Where they see a story of gay people who, you know, have a hard time, but then they succeed. And they're like, this was literally so moving. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like they're also afraid to criticize it, maybe.
Right.
But I think a thing that I've noticed, especially just in grad school, honestly, alone, is that when people write gay-focused material, is that they forget to give the main character flaws. Like, the gay character has to be, like, perfect and not negative in any way, or else they'll get backlash. But it's like, I'm assuming gay people want to see gay people mess up. They don't want to see them being superheroes, because then they feel less than, I'm sure, because I don't want to just watch shows about straight people who are, like, the most perfect people who fall into love without having any problems, or don't have any problems in college, or don't have any friendship problems. That would be so boring to me. But it seems like right now, because the gay focused stuff is so popular and, like, actually being given voices, is that people are afraid to mess it up so that they don't ruin it for everybody else. Right. And I can forgive people for that, but I do think that we need something where they're shitty people, or, like, that grow into good people. Like, there needs to be an arc of not just no prom to prom, which seems to be the only thing with this. Well, there was, like, the non-gay characters had arcs of, like, Kerry Washington, like, anti-gay to I love my daughter, or, you know, Dee Dee narcissistic to doing things to care about other people. Like, they all had story arcs that were focused about their personality, but the gay people had arcs of, like, that had nothing to do with them, it seems. Right. Okay, here's the thing that I did say that was, I think some people might disagree with if they don't necessarily, like, haven't been, I don't know, I have not ever been in the closet. I've never been in a gay relationship. But I think both Emma and Alyssa, when they broke up, had very valid reasons to feel the way they did about that moment. Mm-hmm. So Emma has been out for a while and was kicked out by her parents, yes, for doing it, but now lives in a loving home. I'm not saying she doesn't have any trauma, or, like, that moment wasn't the worst day of her life. But she has every right to want to be out with her girlfriend, you know what I mean? Not have to go back in the closet and hide from people, because she's been out for a while and has done the hard part of it. And so she does deserve to have a public relationship. But on the other end, Alyssa doesn't really feel like she has anywhere else to go if she were to be kicked out. She's built up this whole life of trying to be perfect for her mom, and she even said it in the song of, like, her mom thinks that if they both live a perfect life, her husband will come back, the dad will come back, you know. So, like, there's some struggle there. And if you don't feel like you have a safe home to come out in, you might have to wait till college or might have to wait till later, you know what I mean? When you don't have to worry about the backlash. So I think they both had very valid reasons to not want to be in the situation they were in or to change how the situation was viewed and stuff like that.
I agree with that completely because, like, for Emma, especially if you've been dating someone, like, it'd be one thing if they had been dating for like a week or she just came out or something, you know, but they had been dating for a year and a half, and that's like a long time. Say, okay, we've been dating secretly and I would really like to be out in public because I'm just so proud of you and I want our relationship to be seen. And so I get that, where it's like, okay, it hurts too much to not be able to talk about this with people, or because as far as I know, like, her grandma doesn't even know who her girlfriend is.
Well, she might have been over to her house. I think Alyssa might have come over secretly, but because she just said that she's never been to Alyssa's house, so she doesn't even know like what style she has, like what dresses she would wear to prom and blah blah blah, things like, you know, that type of situation. So they didn't say explicitly that she was over at Emma's house, but I wouldn't have put it past them. I don't think she's sleeping over or anything, though, you know.
Right. And then for Alyssa, for sure, like, you can't just ask someone to come out if they're not ready. It's not your place to tell someone, and you don't know what their home situation looks like, even if you think you do. And there's no way to make a person do that. Like, you just can't put someone, even if they're going to be coming out into the most perfect, accepting house possible, it's still not your choice to decide when they make that announcement and make it known to the world.
Which I think if people haven't seen Love, Simon, you should. I mean, it is like another perfect straight person playing a gay person, but he lived in a very accepting liberal home that literally the mom would be like, crush the patriarchy, you know what I mean? Like, it's very funny, but he was still like forced to come out because of stuff that happened, like blackmail and things like that. So I mean, it does happen even with people who knows that their family would be like, I love you, like, doesn't matter.
And no offense to this movie, but Love, Simon was better.
Yes, for sure.
I feel like we have covered everything for this movie, The Prom.
I think we should just get on to asking next week's question, which...
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it comes from Emily, and I will play it now for you.
What musical would you like a movie adaptation of? And ones in the works don't count.
All right. Interesting question, Emily. Thank you.
If you want to know what our next movies are, we will be we posted on our Instagram. So,
and it'll be definitely on our Instagram, so follow us there. And if you have a suggestion, please email us at podcast. There's no dot in this one. That's our Instagram name. Sorry. I get confused. Our email is youtalkingtomepodcast@gmail.com, and our Instagram is youtalkingtome.podcast.
Go follow us there. Comment below on YouTube if you have suggestions. Rate us 5 stars or however many the most stars is.
100? Just kidding.
Give us a like, subscribe, whatever platform you're on, do the goods on there, please.
Yes. Let us know, and if you have something negative to say, at least make it constructive criticism, please.
Yes, please. We're just 2 North Dakotans who have never heard a negative thing said to us that wasn't passive-aggressive, so please just remember that we are from the Midwest. I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this was the You Talking to Me podcast. Thank you.